Go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here, and I've been talking about this special effect, this one thing in the game that I've been gassing up, minus freeze of course, but right now we're talking about none other than Break Sushang. I'm talking about the goddess of breaking, okay? The physical queen. She does a lot of damage, she hits things hard, then she does it again, and she summons a giant chocobo. What more could you want off of this banner? Per usual here on the EOverse, I am going to deliver the finest of beginner guides and probably some more advanced stuff in the guide if you stick around. But regardless, let's break down Sushang. Breaking down baby girl, we're gonna talk about Cloud Fencer art. Next is going to be the Mountain Fall. Again, still keeping the jutsu, if you will, of Cloud Fencer art. You know, now that I say that out loud, I kind of like Cloud Fencer art no jutsu, but it doesn't really roll off the tongue. So we're gonna figure out Cloud Fencer no jutsu, Mountain Fall. You know, we're gonna go with that. But you know, hey, listen, if you come up with a better jutsu in the comments down below, by all means, let me know. Anyhow, the skill itself, this is the money maker. It's gonna deal maximum physical damage. The percentage doesn't matter, it goes up with your level, you guys know that. This is gonna pop one single enemy. This is gonna be what you're using a lot of the time in order to start Sushang's party. The second thing here is gonna be that in addition, there is a fixed 33% chance to trigger Sword Stance on the final hit, which is gonna deal an additional amount of physical damage to the same enemy that Sushang just attacked. Now this 33% chance here, like my previous videos where I went over Japard or even March 7th, this cannot be altered through any other base means. I cannot use effect hit rate to increase this. It's gonna stay at 33%, which means you're always gonna be able to hit the 33%. It's always a coin toss. However, if the enemy is inflicted with weakness break, Sword Stance is guaranteed to trigger. Everything about Sushang's kit straight up tells you make this character a breaking monster. I know a lot of people are going to be building her on crit or attempting to build her on crit, but listen to me and I promise you that Sushang is going to do the job that she wants to do very well, phenomenally well. Next is going to be her ultimate, Shape of Taiju Dawn Herald, which is going to deal a super solid big old nasty chunk of physical damage to, again, a single enemy of Sushang's choice, and it's immediately going to advance her forward by 100%. I know some of the people here, right? You may know a character called Bronya, Lady Bronya, Princess Bronya, Queen Bronya, if you will, the new Supreme Guardian. All right, I get it! And she has an ability or a skill that allows her to throw any character and advance them forward 100%. Well, Sushang does that for herself, but when she does it, it comes from her ultimate. So the essential combo that I'm telling you guys now is going to be skill, ultimate, skill, and that's gonna break almost anything that's weak to physical. Not only will that do a 100% advance forward, but it's also going to increase her attack by 22%, and it's going to allow her to use the skill and get an extra 2 chances to trigger Sword Stance for the next 2 turns. The last bit of this ultimate is going to actually deal an increased 50% of the original damage after Sword Stance is triggered. And to be perfectly honest, all of that stuff is great, fine, dandy, but you really won me over when you summon a giant chocobo and then it butt slams on your enemy. Dancing Blade is going to be her talent, her passive, and this passive is actually going to come in clutch, especially if you start building into her Eidolons. As you can see on the screen here, this is going to give her an increased speed for the next 2 turns up to whatever your level is for the talent, and it's happening after you weakness break the enemy. What's cool about this talent is that it actually doesn't require Sushang to be the one to break the enemy. It's if Sushang is on the field and someone gets their weakness broken, her talent triggers. Lastly is going to be her technique, Cloud Fencer Art no Jutsu War Cry, and this is very straightforward. Pop every single enemy that is weak to physical, murder their toughness meter, and it's gonna do physical damage equal to 80% of the attack, or her attack rather, to all of the enemies. It's great, it's phenomenal, it's awesome. Once again, everything about this character points towards a breaking goddess. Finally, we can talk about baby girl's Eidolons, and do you see how pretty this Eidolon screen looks? Look at this, all 6? Come on, bro, I'm not a whale. E1 is going to be called Cut with Ease, and after using skills against a weakness broken enemy, you're going to regenerate 1 skill point. This is beautiful, this is awesome, this is amazing. Why is this amazing, EO? Because this basically means that you get a skill point for free, and you remember what I said earlier? She's practically never using her basic attack. This helps you never use your basic attack. You essentially always get a free skill point. E2 is Refine and Toil, which is after triggering her Sword Stance, the damage taken by Sushang is reduced by 20% for 1 turn. This is okay, but again, Sushang is not really going to be the target of a lot of your attacks if played right or built with a correct team. So yeah, I mean, it's cool, I guess, but it is what it is. E4, however, now this, once again, this is your bread and butter. This is your money maker. You want to go for E4. If you're pulling for Jing Yuan, you're pulling on the banner, you're going for Ting Yuan and you can't get her, and you just happen to get an E4 Sushang, don't cry. Don't come in my comment section crying. Don't come in the stream crying. Don't come in the Discord crying, talking about, man, I got E4 Sushang. I'm so pissed off, bro. I really wanted E6 Ting Yuan. No. All right, now listen, I heard a great quote recently. God may not give you what you want, but he will always put in your life what you need. Shout outs to Bel Air. And whether or not you believe in God is up to you, bro. I'm not here to push any of that on anybody, all right? I'm just saying, E4 increases the break effect by 40%. And I'm gonna show you exactly why that's important. This is huge. This is awesome. Break effect on Sushang for free, 40%. That's less stuff that you have to build into her relics. Come on, guys, keep up. Last but not least is going to be E6, Dwell Like Water. This talent speed boost is going to stack. The speed boost, the same speed boost, in fact, that I told you guys earlier when using her talent, right? When someone is weakness broken on the screen, she's going to trigger the speed boost. This is basically allowing her to play like a mini Zila to the fullest potential. Now this stacks up to 2. You know who else has a 2-stack speed boost? E2 Zila. Come on, dude. Sushang is right here. She's right here for you, bro. You didn't pull Sushang or you didn't pull Zila. It's okay. It's okay. E6 Sushang is right here. That's the answer. Next up, let's go over Sushang's traces and bonus abilities. The first one we're gonna have here is gonna be called Guileless, not to be mistaken from Guile in Street Fighter, but this is going to essentially reduce the chance of her being attacked. It's pretty nice. It reduces the aggro if her HP is 50% or lower. It can come in clutch, but truth be told, with proper team building, Sushang is gonna have the least of these worries when it comes to being targeted. Next one, and probably my personal favorite, is going to be Riposte or Riposte. You know, as someone who plays Demon Souls and Dark Souls and everything else, I still don't know how to pronounce this word. For every sword stance triggered, the damage dealt by sword stance increases by 2%, and this stacks up to 10 times. You want to know something crazy? Want to know something awesome? Want to know something beautiful about this ability here? It doesn't have a limit. Right there on the screen, stacks up to 10 times. It's not stacks up to 10 times, lasts for 2 turns. It's not stacks up to 10 times, then lasts for half a minute or whatever the hell. I don't know. It's 10 times. You do it, period. 10 times. You trigger sword stance 10 times, and now you have the 10 times stack. You get an extra 20% at the base level. The last of her traces is going to be Vanquisher, which after using a basic attack or skill, if there are enemies on the field with weakness break applied to them, Sushang's attack or action is going to advance forward by 15%. Because we're all at this point by now where we can start implementing, or rather we can invest into our traces and give them the actual stuff they need, the materials, I'm going to tell you the order. I would rather prioritize Riposte as my #1 priority. The second one would be Vanquisher, which I understand this is going to be towards Character Ascension 6, which is Equilibrium 4, if I'm not mistaken. It might be really hard for you to get there, especially if you're starting the game out, or if you're new, or if you're casually playing. Don't fret, don't rush, it's a-okay. The last priority I would do is Guileless. Now, when it comes to prioritizing her skills, since we're already here, I would absolutely prioritize the skill, as you're going to be using that a lot more often than you will be the ultimate. Then I would prioritize the ultimate itself. Then I would go into the talent, even though this is going to boost your speed by a significant amount, but I would really focus on this if I had Eidolon 4. The last thing that I would do would be the basic attack. And in fact, you probably don't even need to use this, because truth be told, if you play Sushang right, she's always using her skill and ultimate. Now, we've talked about her skills, we've talked about her traces, we talked about Sushang being a break goddess, and we went over her Eidolons. It's time to go over her light cone. For those that are new to the game, light cone is just a weapon. That's kind of, you know, like they teach you that in the game, right? Off rip, I'm gonna start off with the best one. Swordplay, free, easy. There's no other thing that you need in the game. You don't need any other light cone. If you pull Swordplay, superimpose this immediately. Give it to Sushang. You don't need to give this to anyone else if you have Sushang. Now, if you get a copy of this, right, you get some spares, you can give that to Yangxing. Yangxing would appreciate that, but we're talking about Sushang right now. What Swordplay does is, for each time the wearer hits the same target, the damage dealt increases by 14%. Of course, this is going to be superimposed at this point, and then you're going to stack this up to 5 times. This will dispel, right? The effect goes away. Your damage dealt increase, the stack goes away after you change targets. Here's the thing, Sushang is a single targeting monster. She is going to want to prioritize the same target, and in fact, this is going to be huge for bosses. The reason I say this is huge for bosses is the same reason that Zila would be huge against bosses as well, and using her constant ultimate, the crit damage buff, things like that. When you target the same thing, you target the same boss until it's gone, guess what happens when the boss is defeated? The game is over. You've successfully defeated the enemy. You've won. Whatever you were struggling with in Forgotten Hall, Sim Universe, whatever, Sushang just helped you beat it. Swordplay is the answer. However, swordplay is only attainable through pulling for it. The Stellar Warp. I understand this is not the most free to play option, so I have a better one. Your next best option, and I want to hear no complaints, cruising in the Stellar Sea. Let me tell you 2 reasons why this is the next best option for anybody if you cannot get a hold of swordplay. Number 1, all of the stat increases from the crit rate going up. Whenever the enemy's HP is 50% or less, you also get another crit rate boost. That is 20% crit rate for free. Then on top of that, whenever you defeat an enemy, you get an attack increase by 25% for 2 turns. This is huge. Now, obviously, once again, this is superimposed, but hear me out. You could superimpose cruising in the Stellar Sea for free. Yes, for free. You don't got to pull anything. This is free, baby. You can get a superimposed 5 cruising in the Stellar Sea whenever you want to. I mean, obviously you got to do some grinding for it, but still, it's free. No pulls, no money, no nothing. It's free. Easily the best free to play option. Everyone can get this. It is not impossible. I don't want to hear nobody crying about this. Oh man, I can't get the 5-star weapon. Yes, you can. Well, let's just say that you're at the beginning of the game. I know a lot of you might just be starting out with Jingyuen's banner. You've been waiting for it, re-rolling on the account. That's fine. I got you. Your last best option, which is also completely free, by the way, is going to be River Flows in Spring. Now, this is Yangqing's personal light cone. This is his 4-star signature. However, it could work for Sushang. After she enters the battle, she's going to increase her speed by 8% and her damage dealt by 12%. Geared towards Yangqing primarily, but whenever the wearer takes damage, all that buff goes away, right? But again, like I mentioned earlier, you built the team correctly, you play Sushang correctly, you really don't have to worry about getting hit. And you could also just give her a shield, to be completely honest, and the shield will protect her from taking damage, which means that you're going to keep your 8% speed buff and your 12% damage buff. Then you stack that with everything else that Sushang is doing, and you now have created a free monster. And no character is complete without their relic set, and we're going to talk about the best relic sets for Sushang. And if anything is popping up that's not the best, I'll just have it on the side. Champion of Streetwise Boxing. I could say things, right? I could read things. Okay, this is going to be what the next best looking artifact piece for her is going to be, because it's physical damage increasing. And you could two-piece this, right? You could 2-piece Champion's headgear or 2-piece Champion's gear, and then you could 2-piece the Musketeer set, and that's going to give you the extra attack percent increase and the extra physical damage increase. However, the 4%, and again, this goes on to stacking what she does after the wearer attacks or is hit. Their attack increases by 5% for the rest of the battle. What did I tell you guys earlier? No time limit on her stacks. Didn't I tell you that she has a 10% or 2% stack every time she hits her sword stance? And on top of that, that stacks 10 times. That's a free 20%, right? Now you have the 4-piece from the Champion's gear, which is going to give you a free 25% attack boost. Okay, so now you have theoretically a 45% free attack boost. You are doing 45% extra damage just by having this 4-piece alone. This is great. This is awesome. This is perfect. And if you could find a way to do this, phenomenal. But this is still not her best set.
Io, you went over everything. There's nothing else that would make her best set. How is this possible? Champion had to have been her best set.
Well, since I am the man of coming, I happen to have a great insight about these things, and I can see things before they become what's known as popular. I've been talking about Sushang being a break goddess, a break monster, if you will. The only set on this entire row, the only relic set that we have that helps with break, is going to be Thief of Shooting Meteor. This is going to increase our break by 16%. The 4-piece is going to increase our break by another 16%. That is a 32% break increase. If you have E4, now you're at somewhere around 70 or something like that. You have a free 70% break effect increase just off doing nothing. No boost. You don't even need a break effect main stat. You don't need any substats for break effect. You have a free 70% break effect boost. Then whenever the wearer inflicts weakness break on an enemy, you're going to regenerate 3 energy. Whenever you kill an enemy, you already get 10 energy or something like that. When you use your skill, you're going to get 30 energy. You are going to be building up ultimate with this particular set so fast that the ultimate skill combo is going to be something that you practically do every single turn. In my opinion, the Thief set is easily her best set, and I say this with confidence going into breaking things with Sushang. That's a lot of damage. I say this set is 50-50 simply because of the fact that if you don't have E6, this is going to be really hard to attain. 145 speed is not an easy feat. There could also be a point where break effect doesn't matter anymore. There's a cap, if you will. I say this because Genshin Impact has something similar where once you reach a certain stat, the stat becomes null and void. It no longer benefits for you to go that high into it. So as we come over here, and I'm using Moon's Sushang here because I was just not blessed with Sushang, okay? As I come over here, I'm working with what I got. You guys see that 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. All of these are 0, right? I have attack percent on my boots, so I'm not getting my speed boost that I'm looking for, but I'm not using a set that requires me to have that speed boost, right? At least not yet. The attack percent on my belt or my chest, my body, I have the attack percent or attack on my gloves, and then of course I have HP on my helmet. I come over here to my planar ornaments and I have the physical damage boost, not maxed out, and then I also have my break effect on my link rope. Now this is beautiful. I love this. There's no other way to get break effect main stat, but I love this because this is going to go up to 84% or something like that, which is crazy. So if I'm looking at my main stats and I'm trying to see what is it that I want out of my Sushang as far as main stats are considered, my body piece ultimately depends on what it is that I'm running for. If I'm trying to reach that 50% crit rate, I'm absolutely looking for a crit rate body piece. I want to get as much crit rate as possible in order to help out with whatever it is that I'm doing to reach that 50% threshold, if not a little bit more. I want to focus on having break effect for my substats, speed, and attack percent. My boots, I'm going for on speed as well. I want speed for my main stat when it comes to the boots. I want break effect for the substats, crit damage, crit rate, attack percent, you name it. Now, this changes if you have an E6 Sushang who is already reaching the speed tier threshold that you're trying to achieve. At that point, you can dump these into attack percent, get some nice attack percent boots, and then call it a day, and you start smashing people to smithereens. For my orb, I'm going to want the physical damage boost, and as I mentioned earlier, for my link rope, I'm going to shoot for the break effect. Now this could work for attack percent. Once again, you could have diminishing values on break effect. I don't know what the diminishing value is. I don't know if it exists. I'm just mentioning it for a warning, if you will, in case it does exist. You could replace this with attack percent. It could be great. It could be awesome. If you're building your Sushang for something more along the lines of an attack percent build, you're fine with crit rate, with crit damage. You want to see her do big boy hits every single time she attacks, and you don't care about any of the other things that are a part of her kit pertaining to break, then yes, you could build crit rate and crit damage. But I do want to keep in mind that it sort of kind of almost works against what her kit is designed to do. For the team compositions that we're working with Sushang, honestly, she could work in a lot of different team comps, but it really comes down to what it is that you want your Sushang to do. This is also leading into the doorway for more viability, if you will, when it comes to team comps, whether that be DOT coming in the future with Kafka, or whether that be focusing on something like a break plus DPS type of build instead of just going for a hyper carry team. While you can do something with a hyper carry, for instance with Sushang, I don't think that hyper carry break Sushang is going to be something that you're focusing on. And per the rest of the theme for this guide, going with a break Sushang, we're gonna need a DPS character, someone who can deal the damage without needing to break or after the break, and then go from there. You can do this one of two ways. You can go with a character who can apply strong DOT, doesn't exist yet, or you can go with a character who just smashes things to smithereens. Right now, the first team that I'm gonna have for you guys is going to be Sushang, Tingyun, Bailu, and then Serval. Serval is actually a placeholder for Jing Yuan. He's not in the game yet, but he will be once the time that you're seeing this video. He'll be in the game, but Serval is a placeholder for Jing Yuan. I would use something like this, and I'll go in the order that I just said it. Jing Yuan is going to be your main DPS damage dealer, right? He's going to be dishing out AoE damage, and the reason you want AoE is simply because of the fact that he's hitting everybody for everything. You don't have to worry about targeting one character. You don't have to worry about dealing a little bit of damage here or there. Jing Yuan's going to hit everybody for free no matter what. Bailu, being Bailu, is going to be the exceptional healer to keep everyone alive. Using Bailu's trace as well, Bailu is going to be a character that can heal you for free without needing or requiring to use her skill, otherwise being able to build skill points and generate those as P. Ting Yun being someone that's featured on the banner here, Ting Yun is going to be great for Sushang as well as Jing Yuan. She's going to be able to boost them up whenever she needs to, whenever they need to get the boost. She's going to be able to help them get their ultimate back with her ultimate if need be, and her passive is going to help her deal damage while being able to alternate between skill and then double basic attack to keep the skill point generated. And then last, of course, is going to be my baby girl, the star Sushang. She is primarily focused on breaking the enemy. You bring Sushang when you know there's going to be a physical enemy or a physical weak enemy, so that you can break them, do whatever damage you need to, so that the rest of the team bullies and helps Sushang get to the point where once they are broken, Sushang pops their shield, and that's when you see 999999. For legal purposes, I have to state that 99999 is not physically possible in the game yet. Maybe it will be in the future, but as of right now, I can't do it. So don't come at me when you can't do 99999 or you ask for proof on 99999. I can't do that. Highest I've gotten is 56k. Next on the team comps is going to be something a little bit more free to play, but the concept still exists, and that's more important, right? I'm teaching you guys the concepts of the team and less about which members specifically you need for the team. So keep in mind who I'm placing on the team, what their role is, what their path is, what they're doing. What do I want this character on the team for? So if I'm breaking this down, I'm using Fire MC in place of Bailu on the previous team because now I'm focused on shields. Shields are a little bit differently. They work a little bit differently, or a lot differently rather, than heals. And if you have Japard, awesome. This is going to be even better. But for the most people that don't have Japard or are free to play, you're going to be looking at Fire MC. I personally do not like Fire MC shields, but I'm not here to give you guys my subjective opinions on what you should and shouldn't use. Use what you can, use what you have, use what you want. Fire MC is great for a number of different reasons, but Fire MC is usually backed up by a healer. In this case, you can either use Natasha if you are so worried about heals, or if you're confident that you don't need the heals, well, now you need a buffer. This comes into play with Pela or Ting Yun. You might even be able to get away with someone like Asta, but for right now, we're gonna go with Pela. Pela is going to cause defense reduction to the enemy. This is awesome, wonderful, because again, this is going to help bully and beat down the rest of the team with your DPS characters. Same theme as before, you're going to want someone who's going to help you dish out damage. The reason I'm not using a character like Zila, for instance, is because Zila is mostly single target, and Sushang is also mostly single target. In fact, they're both straight up single target characters. Whether or not they can hit multiple enemies using their abilities or passives is completely irrelevant to how I'm building the team. If Sushang is going to require 2 skill points due to her combo, and then for instance Zila's on the team and Zila's going to require 2 to 4 skill points using her own combo, you're not going to have enough characters on the team to help generate 6 skill points per turn. So I don't pick Zila here. Using someone like Serval, Himiko, even Yangqing, if you wanted another strong single target DPS for whatever reason, you could even get away with Clara. Whatever floats your boat. Serval is quite literally not the placeholder in this case. Serval is just straight up here simply because of the fact that she's free. Everyone gets her light cone, and you can superimpose that light cone as well. She also applies shock, which is going to help with the DOT. And in that case, if you were focusing a little bit on a mixture between DOT, a little bit of DPS and break, now you can get into the idea of replacing Pela with someone like Sampo, who's going to help boost the DOT damage happening from Serval. And of course, lastly is going to be baby girl Sushang, who is going to quite literally obliterate everybody's toughness meter who's weak to physical. At the end of the day, Sushang is an amazing unit that specializes in evaporating enemies' toughness meter. She's got a great kit that's going to allow her to pummel enemies down with multiple attacks per action. She's got a signature 4-star light cone that is perfect for her. She's got a 100% advance forward that not a lot of other characters have in the game, which is going to let her use the attack right after using the ultimate. And again, combo being skill, ultimate skill. You can build crit on Sushang if you want to, but to be fair, as I mentioned before, this character is going to excel at breaking enemies more than hitting critical hits. Because of this, if you focus on a build like breaking, you can almost completely ignore crit, which frees up the stress, the idea, the concept of needing to get crit on any of your pieces. At the end of it all, I think Sushang is an amazing partner to work side by side with Jing Yuan, and in fact, I think everyone on this particular banner makes for a perfect team. And in fact, you probably don't need anyone else. Now, granted, March 7th is there. And if you do just happen to pull a bunch of March 7ths, well, I've got a guide going over March 7th right here. If you happen to be watching this video after everyone's already been released, then I also have a guide going over Ting Yun right here. And last but not least, I do have the rest of them being compiled in a playlist that you can check out down below. If you enjoyed this video, do leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tell me how many Sushangs you pulled, because I know you got E4, because that's what we're doing, right? We're all going for E4 Sushang. E4 Sushang. All Sushang wanters will be Sushang havers. Now, granted, if you get Jing Yuan in the process, that's a dub. I better not hear nobody complaining about getting Jing Yuan. If you complain about Jing Yuan, so help me